I know I'm gonna be an excellent father. I know that for sure. I mean, my dad right now, he's in jail, about to be sentenced to prison soon. And I know right now, I look at myself and I was this close to getting into jail. I mean, I was in the adult system at 17 for that half pound of weed, and they were trying to charge me for distribution. And I'm thankful for the second chance they gave me, but I know I don't want my kid to grow up fatherless. And I mean, I'm gonna share every little thing that I went through with my kid and tell him where it got me, where it didn't get me.
Cause I got a child on the way. I'm trying to do the best thing I know how. I'm trying to own my child to think I'm a bad influence on him. I'm trying to be a good influence on my child. Trying to let my child know that I'm a good dad. Like, I don't want my child to grow up to be like his father, always in jail, doing bad stuff. I don't want that. I want my child to be better than me. Yeah, my dad went through hard times, but he been most of the time. He only went to jail like twice out of his whole time he was with us. He been with us for 22 years.
Is he around now?
He locked up now. 8 days ago, I became a father of a son named Aaron Gant. And that's like the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because now I'm a father. Now, like, when I get out, now I know I got a responsibility to take care of. And I know now not to get into no more trouble, be involved with people that like to influence me by doing bad things. Now I know I gotta keep my head on track and trying to take care of my child and do the right thing, so I won't go back to jail and almost spend my rest of my life in jail, so I won't able to see my son grow up and be the great person that he gonna become. He gonna become a great person, because if I'm there helping him and teaching him, doing the right things and teaching him how to do the right things, respect people, then he'll turn out to be a good person, well-respected person. But if I'm not there, he won't have no male guidance to guide him throughout the troubles that he'll be going through. So he just learn from other people out on the streets, and they'll be teaching him wrong things. He don't need to be teaching wrong things. He need to be teaching positive things and be teaching the right things.
To me, it started around when I was, I say 6 or 7. I think it was my dad went to prison, and I was real close to my dad. And then losing him for a couple years, it just kind of set me off. And then my mom having her boyfriends and stuff like that, I didn't want him around because it wasn't my dad. And I would just get violent with them, and it wasn't the thing that I needed to do. But after the years progressed, my dad he got released, and then I was with my dad for a while. And then my dad, he turned into another convict again, and then he went back on the burglary sprees and all that. And I tried to stop my dad from doing something that he need to do, and that's how I caught another charge. I tried to stop my dad from breaking in the house, and they gave me the charge. I took the charge for him, and that's the criminal trespassing. It got dropped down. I had attempted residential burglary off because something he wanted to do. My dad was on drugs for a period of time, I think a year or so, and he would sit there and knock himself upside the head and tell my mom he got robbed. So it was real hard knowing that was my role model. That's who I looked after.
But I was 14, and I was looking for something. maybe attention, something like that. I was just 14. I mean, I was like any other 14-year-old. Whenever it comes to emotions, but if I could go back 3 years, I would not have had sex because I got pregnant. And I mean, I talk to kids now. I go to IU and stuff like that, and I talk to a lot of teens, and it's just too hard to get pregnant at 14. I mean, you just miss out on so much. I would rather have waited, another 15 years or 20 years to get pregnant. I mean, it's just too incredibly hard for me to deal. I mean, it's not too hard for me to deal with because I've learned how to deal with it. But if I didn't have all the people that I did have, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
That's a scary proposition for a young person to face adulthood as a single parent with limited education, with limited job skills. It has to be almost over. Well, I don't know how some of the young people survive, but having said that, everyone has an obligation to think before acting.
A lot of people say, oh, you're 14, you can't have a child. Well, I was 14, and I had a child, and I am a darn good mom. There's so much help out there. I mean, people can help you. You just have to want to take it. You have to be mature. You have to say, okay, this is what it's going to be like. If I want my child, if I want to be a good parent, then I have to do these certain things. And I mean, people are there to help. I mean, there's all kinds of people that can help.
It has to be frightening for a young person, almost 18 years of age, without a solid family, without family support, the things that many of us take for granted. And to think that she would go out into the world with a young child without that kind of support has to be frightening.
Well, I've always been so independent my whole life because I've been actually in the system for almost 11 and a half years. I was taken away from my mom whenever I was 4 and in a foster home until I was 12. And I was in about 15, 20 different foster homes. And, I grew up by myself. I had to. I mean, I had to, my little sister grew up with me and I had to do everything by myself. So whenever I was 14, I was more like a 17-year-old. And so I kept in school. After I had him, I left school for 8 weeks and homeschooled by myself. And I just did everything by myself. I mean, I took care of him. And now I go to school and I work and I take care of him and I'm a good mom. And so it just, I mean, by the grace of God, that's how I did it. No, I think it was my own fault. I mean, I think that, I was 14. I knew what I was doing. My mom did let him stay the night with me, which, I mean, if I have a daughter at 14 years old, she's not bringing a 20-year-old man in my house and staying the night with him. In fact, she better not even have a 20-year-old boyfriend. There are ways to stop that, and hopefully, whenever I want to get married someday, and I will, my husband will, be able to say, no, this is not going to happen. I'll be able to have a stronger person there with me.
Yeah, I don't excuse this behavior because some of these young people could make better decisions. And once the decision has been made, then that person is responsible for the outcome. So young people who have children must take care of them.
Some people just look at me and laugh and I'll just turn my head. It's like no problem. Most of my friends will sit there and talk behind my back and I'll look at them and ask what they're talking about. And I said, if you're talking about me, you can say it to my face and not behind my back.
Stephanie's pregnancy came as a surprise. I had no idea that they had even been together. I had not any reason not to trust Harvey because he was a family friend. It all was a surprise to me. I didn't find out that they had even had sex till the day we went to the doctor's office.
My mom, I know she was worried because she started crying in the doctor's office. So I was worried.
I felt guilty. Well, did I do something wrong as a parent? Was I not watching her enough? Did I not supervise her enough? And then I thought, no, she had spent the night with my mom and snuck out of the house, snuck him in, and it was hard. It was hard.
Yes, we will ask the court to make that baby a Chin's But for the purposes of providing services, that little girl, and I say little girl because she's 13 years old, the mother, is going to need all the help she can get. That's what we're going to be there for. Not to say you're being a bad mother, but to say these are the services you're going to need because you are 13 years old and you need help.
As a young mother myself, I knew it was hard for me at 18 to be a young mother, single mother, not married. It was hard to know Stephanie at a younger age was going to be a mother.
I went to school. Well, we moved to Highmere, and then they wouldn't let me go to school.
Because you were pregnant?
Yeah, because they had other kids going home and telling their parents, and their parents would come in and kind of go off with the principal. So they wanted me to go to homeschooling that my school did.
I quit school at 17. I got pregnant when I was 18. Had my first child, no therapy, no nothing. I was out on my own besides my mother. I didn't have anybody to turn to talk to, like Stephanie does now, so I know what she's going through. I got into the drugs and the alcohol and running around and being wild. I had my second child when I was 20. Had my second child by the time my third child by the time I was 22. I didn't have time to grow up.
I know that I've ruined my childhood.
I assume that they will give her intensive parenting services. They'll have somebody with her showing her how to care for a child. Not that her mother can't do that also, but it's good to have the outside help. And we'll have somebody in the home offering her services, I would imagine, several days a week at her age. And hopefully she'll be able to care for the child.
Stephanie made a bad choice, but she's doing really well. She's come a long way from what she was. She's acting very mature. So educate your children about safe sex. If they're just insistent and sneaking out, put them on some kind of birth control. This is not an uncommon thing. It happens every day as life cycle goes around. 12, 13, 14-year-old girls are running around getting pregnant because they're not educated is what I feel. I didn't educate Stephanie. Maybe if I had educated her more on safe sex, not running around getting pregnant, they wouldn't happen. So educate your children.